All right, so today we're doing another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today's all about Excel.
Okay.
So, we've been getting a lot of requests from listeners about what are some more like intermediate to advanced level tips?
Okay.
And I think this one kind of really fits the bill.
Cool.
And this is something that I'll admit, even like I
Yeah.
knew about this, but I didn't really utilize it to its full potential.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
And now that I've like really dug deep on it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wasn't really using this.
Right.
So the sources for this one
Yeah.
are from like a couple of different websites and a couple of
Yes.
different YouTube tutorials that I've
Yeah.
watched.
Mm.
And it's all about
Yeah.
like this idea of named ranges
Okay.
in Excel.
Interesting.
Have you ever used this feature?
I have, and this is one of those things where I think a lot of people, they know about it.
Yeah.
But they don't actually implement it in their day-to-day workflow.
Right.
And I think once you start using this,
Yeah.
you really see the benefit.
It's a game changer.
It's kind of a hidden gem
Yeah.
in Excel.
For sure.
That can make your life so much easier as you're working with these spreadsheets.
So our mission today is to basically like take this feature
Mm-hmm.
that, like I said, I think a lot of people know about, but maybe just kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, that's there,
Right.
but to really like dig deep into like,
Okay.
why is this so powerful?
Mm-hmm.
How can it actually like make you more efficient?
Yeah.
And what are some like real world applications of it?
Cool. I love it.
So one of the sources specifically mentioned
Yeah.
this keyboard shortcut,
Okay.
which is Control-Shift-F3.
Control-Shift-F3.
Got it. And so what that does is it brings up
Yeah.
this like create a new name
Right.
dialog box.
So you're essentially giving a name to a specific range of cells in your spreadsheet.
Exactly.
So instead of referring to them by their cell coordinates, you can call it something meaningful, like sales data or project timeline, whatever makes sense to you.
Can you give me like a concrete example of like
Sure.
why that is valuable?
Yeah, so let's say you have a spreadsheet
Mm-hmm.
and it's tracking your monthly expenses.
Right.
And you want to calculate the total expenses for the year.
Mm.
Now, the traditional way to do this would be to use a formula with a bunch of cell references.
Right, like A1 through A12 or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. Something like equals sum parenthesis A1 colon A12.
Right.
But with named ranges, you could select all those cells representing your monthly expenses.
Yeah.
Hit that Control-Shift-F3 and name that range monthly expenses.
Okay.
And now your formula to calculate the total for the year becomes much simpler. It's just equals sum parenthesis monthly expenses.
Got it.
It's instantly more readable.
So much clearer. Yeah.
You know what that formula is doing?
Yeah.
Just by glancing at it?
Right. It's not just like a bunch of
Exactly.
random
Yeah.
letters and numbers.
That you have to decipher.
Exactly.
And especially when you start working with more complex formulas,
Yeah.
this becomes even more important.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's like,
Yeah.
it's not just about like readability though, right?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There are some other major benefits to using named ranges as well.
Okay, well, let's dive into those then.
Okay, so one of the biggest ones is error prevention.
Okay.
Think about it. If you're manually typing in cell references,
Yeah.
it's very easy to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you got like a really long
If you're off by one row or one column, your entire calculation could be thrown off.
And then it's like, where is that?
Right, you're hunting for that error, and it can be a nightmare.
You're like going through line by line.
Exactly.
But with named ranges,
Yeah.
you're eliminating that possibility.
You're essentially creating an anchor for your formula.
Right.
So even if your data moves around in the spreadsheet, the named range stays linked to those cells.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So your formulas stay accurate.
Yeah, because I know like
Yeah.
in the past, if I've had like, a big spreadsheet and then I needed to like add a row or something.
That can completely mess up.
Everything.
And your formula.
And then, it's a
you have to go back and readjust everything.
nightmare.
Exactly. And named ranges can save you from all of that.
So that's a really big benefit.
Huge time saver.
Okay, cool.
And then there's also the aspect of collaboration.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Especially in today's world where people are constantly working together on spreadsheets.
Right.
If you send someone a spreadsheet full of complex formulas with a bunch of cell references,
Yeah, it's impossible.
it's going to be very difficult for them to understand what's going on.
Right.
But if you use named ranges, it's instantly more transparent.
Yeah, because those formulas will actually make
At
sense
least to somebody. It's like reading plain English
Right.
instead of this secret code.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sources even had like this real-time example
Oh, yeah.
that I thought was really interesting.
Okay, what was that?
They were talking about like, let's say you have like a sales report
Okay.
and you have like a column
Right.
with all of your like monthly sales figures.
Got it.
So like January, February, March, April, and so on.
Uh-huh.
You could select that entire column,
Yeah.
hit that Control-Shift F3,
Yep.
and name it like monthly sales.
Perfect.
And then any formulas that you create
Mm-hmm.
that need to reference those sales figures
Right.
can just use that name.
Exactly. It's so much cleaner and
Yeah.
more efficient.
So as those sales figures update each month,
Yeah.
you don't have to go back
Yep.
and change all your formulas.
No. The named range will automatically update to include the new data.
Oh, wow.
And your formulas will just work.
That's so powerful.
Yeah, it's really
It's like
about,
simple.
it's a simple concept,
Yeah.
but it has a huge impact on how you work with Excel.
So what I'm hearing is that like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, named ranges not only make your spreadsheets like more readable
Right.
and easier to understand,
Yeah.
they also
They help with errors,
reduce errors,
collaboration.
make collaboration easier.
Exactly.
And like they just make your whole spreadsheet like more organized and maintainable.
It forces you to think about your data in a structured way,
Yeah.
which is always a good thing
Right.
when you're dealing with complex information.
So this little keyboard shortcut, Control-Shift F3, it's not just like a
It's not just a
nifty little trick.
It's a way to completely change your approach to working with Excel.
And I think the question that I'm kind of left with now is like, for all of you listening, like,
Yeah.
how could this change your
Right.
approach to using Excel?
What could you simplify?
Yeah.
How could you make your spreadsheets more robust and more understandable?
Especially when you're sharing them with other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And think about the possibilities.
So give it a try and let us know how it goes.
I'd love to hear how you're using it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
And
This was a fun one.
we'll see you in the next one.
See you later.
Bye.